Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Fathers in Real Estate. Today, I am joined by Evan Rayborn over in San Antonio, Texas. Thank you for joining me today and putting up with the technical difficulties we had earlier.
Right, you had to use the Windows. That's not your fault.
Yeah, we all don't have Mac computers like you, so some of us are still living in the Stone Age. So thank you for taking your time out of your day. If you would, just kind of give a little bit of background of kind of how you got to where you are in your business and what that looks like for you.
Yeah, I've been in real estate for going on 6 years now. Kind of the way I got there, I've been in sales forever. I sold water purification systems door to door. That was awful. And then I learned that I had like a knack for interior design. So I sold furniture for years and years and years and became like an interior designer there. And learned that a lot of my clients were realtors. And then I bought a house myself and had a horrible experience. And I was like, I bet I could do that so well. And it turned out to be correct. So yeah, started in 2016? Question mark. I'd have to look that up.
Awesome. So being in that sales position and furniture and everything, and I guess that bad experience you had, is that really what kind of said, hey, I can do this better. I don't want people to go through the same experience. Kind of what was going through your mind, and was that what got you to where you are in real estate?
Well, I didn't know if I could do it better because I didn't know how it worked. All I knew is that the customer service side of the agent that we were dealing with was horrible. And I was like, I know at least that part, like the actual interaction and the being personable and taking care of my clients. I know that I would kill that. I was like, now the contracts and like all of that stuff, I have no idea. So even after that, it took me like a year and a half before I made the leap and decided to get my license. And then it was just full steam ahead after that. Everybody was like, don't quit your day job. It takes a really long time. Not the case. It went very quickly for me.
Okay. So you said, hey, one day you just kind of flipped the switch, went all in 100%?
Yep.
Okay.
I got my license while I was still selling furniture. And then I had an overlap of about 6 weeks.
Okay. In that sales position, were you salaried or commission only?
Commission only.
Commission only. So you kind of already had that commission mindset of it wasn't completely scary. It was just a different way of getting
it's just
there.
Another type of commission. So, and I was lucky in that regard that I'd been like 100% commission for almost, 8 years or something like that. So that freaks a lot of new agents out. They're like, you don't have something steady coming in? It's like, no, that's the fun part about it. Like, you got to go get it.
Yeah, exactly. And like you said, that really, a lot of people don't understand that when they get in. It's, they're thinking they're going to come in, they get the license, and they're going to close the deal in the next 2 weeks. And, for most people, it's 6 months.
For sure.
At the earliest sometimes. So, as you've gotten in real estate, as you've been licensed for the past few years, kind of what advice would you give to somebody looking to get into real estate at this day and age?
Like brand new
coming in, what advice would you give them?
So you don't have to do the tried and true methods to become a real estate agent, right? You have to get your license. But like when I first got in, I've never been a like go with the flow type person. So I got in, I found a mentor, and he was like, cool, here's a list of expireds that you can start calling. And these are, listings that have expired. They wouldn't sell for newer agents that don't know what that means. And he was like, just start cold calling people. And I was like, I can do that. I could talk to a brick wall if I needed to. Like, we can do that for sure. And I would do it. And it was like when I did door-to-door sales, they hate you most of the time when you call. And that
right.
just doesn't bring me joy. Now, calling expireds works so well for certain people. And it just wasn't my thing. So I decided to remake how I would go find clients because I didn't have a sphere of people that I knew in San Antonio. I was still kind of like new. The only people that I knew I had sold furniture to, and most of those people had just bought houses. So there was no real point in that one. So I guess my advice would be that you don't have to do the exact like tried and true methods to build a real estate business. You can do it a different way.
So perfect. So you're comfortable behind the phone. A lot of people aren't comfortable like that. So
Yeah.
is that how you started building your business? And then what does that transformation kind of look like? Are you still cold calling, or have you gotten away from that? What does that look like?
No, so business now is 100% referral. So all I do is I just take phone calls from people. It's like, hey, my aunt wants to sell their house, or like, oh, Nikki gave me your number. Um, but the like kind of the way I started was all social media. And so I figured out a way to prospect on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. And so it was just messages back and forth. And that was a little bit better because then I wasn't just dropping like 5 hours straight of just no answer, no answer. It would be like, all right, I have 40 messages I got to go answer right now. And I would just crank them out. And then I would go do something else and like take a breather and then come back and crank them out. And it was more personable, I guess, for me. And it kind of helped because I could go in and like look at these people's profiles just a little bit, right? Like at least see a picture and be like, all right, I know what Deborah looks like.
Right.
Cool. Like this, it just helps a little bit.
Right. So did you start off right off the bat, or kind of how long before you kind of started doing that method?
Immediately.
Okay.
So, I didn't know what to do, right? So I found this guy that I thought was going to be like really, really great. And I'm sure his business works for him the way he does it. But he was like, yeah, just like post an ad on Craigslist and just wait, dude. Like people start blowing up your phone. I'm like, I feel like that's not true, but I'm going to do what you say because I don't know any better. And I posted and I was like, yeah, nobody called me today, man. And he goes, that's crazy. That like always used to work for me. I was like, when you say used to, how long ago was this? And he'd been in the business a long time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to figure it out myself. So I started like using Facebook a lot and tried a bunch of things and like nothing really happened. And then I tried one specific thing and suddenly I like exploded. Like I got 100 messages in a day. And I went, what is this? And then like I went to see if other people were doing it and nobody was. And I was like, I may have figured this out. And that took me 3 days to figure that out. And then I closed the deal 40 days later.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then it snowballed very quickly from there.
Okay. Still waiting on that. Any phone calls from that Craigslist ad, or did you take that down?
I don't even know. Yeah. Either I posted that wrong or, I mean, I haven't been on Craigslist in a long time. I don't know about you.
I don't know. I don't even know if people still use that, but I guess that's out there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Man. So you jumped in social media, got in there, building that local presence there. So that's huge. So what, with knowing kind of where that gentleman or person led you with a Craigslist kind of idea, what is one thing looking back on your career now that you wish you would have known as soon as you started?
Probably slightly going back to what I said, that you don't have to do it the cookie cutter way of what a lot of people say. And then a lot of it, like when you get your real estate license, they scare you. And I get that the statistics are there for a reason, but they're like, just so you know, only 92% of people, or no, what is it? Only half of the people that take this real estate exam pass on their first try. Right. And then it falls off after that. And you're like, oh, dang, this is going to be intense. And then they're like, and also you never, like 92% of realtors don't make it out of their first year. And you're like, okay, cool. Like, this is such a great thing I'm doing. Like, they really kind of freak you out as you're getting your license. I don't know if it's the same in your market.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like, don't quit your day job, kid. Like, it's going to be tough. I wish somebody had been like, hey, if you put in the work, you're going to make a lot of money and you can help people. And if somebody had phrased it in that way, I'd have been a lot more excited earlier.
Oh, absolutely. Because I mean, it's not cheap to even get licensed and do that. And then it's just constant negativity thrown in your face as a new agent. So I agree with you 100% there.
And then I would say it's not something that I didn't know early on in my career, but treating people like they are family, regardless of what they are buying, completely changes your business 2 years down the line. Absolutely.
Because those are going to be your biggest cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Those are going to be the people that turn around and send everything back your way,
I
building
had a lady
with
call
referrals.
me yesterday, and I haven't really talked to her a ton, but I sold her a house like 4.5 years ago, and she goes, "Hey, are you still in real estate?" I'm like, "Do you have social media? Like what?" And she's like, "No, I'm not on social media at all." And I'm like, "Oh, I guess you're one of the ones I should have been calling then, I guess." She was like, "Yeah, but I always knew I was going to use you again because of that time you refused to sell me a house." I was like, "What?" I didn't remember this at all. She was like, "Yeah, we walked into this house. I loved it, but you said it had foundation issues and you refused to be a part of the transaction because you didn't want me getting into a bad situation." I was like, that does kind of sound like me. She was like, "Yeah, so that's how I knew I could trust you. And I always knew I'd use you again." So that's 4.5 years ago.
That's awesome. So that was early in your career. Was it hard? Was it difficult for you to be like, you love this house, but here's what you need to see? Or at that point, were you okay with
No, I've
being
always been
the
really
buster
blunt.
there?
Yeah, I've been very blunt. And even if in the back of my head I was going, "Oh my God, sell her the house. You need the paycheck really bad." Instead, I'd be like, "I'm not doing that. Absolutely not." It would give me like a little bit of pride to be like, "I can't get you into that bad situation. Sorry about you." Like, and even though that like made me feel good, it meant a lot to her. And then we did find her a house anyway. So, yeah, and the way I phrase that now in a much more professional manner than I did back then is like, "Hey, listen, I can't get you into a bad situation like this because then, 2 years from now, it's going to be falling apart. It's going to be all my fault, and you're not going to be happy with me. And I want to maintain like a cool relationship with you." So, but back then I was just like, "I'm not doing this." Like,
And I think, and for you to approach it that way, so many, I don't want to say so many agents, but you hear the stories, you hear people talk about the stories of you're only in it for the money. You don't care about me personally. It's just a transaction for you. So building your business around those relationships, breaking that news, breaking
yeah,
people's hearts before they get financially in an issue,
yeah.
situation. So,
Well, it's
that's
so true.
key,
There's
you
a
know?
reason that realtors have kind of a bad name with that. Is there's people that could care less, and trying to find the people that actually care, it's really hard to know. Which is why I think social media is so important because you can kind of go and you can get at least an idea of someone's personality just a little bit if they have enough content. Not like graphics about interest rates and stuff like that. Like there's actual real videos of somebody. You can kind of go, that person actually cares, or at least that person knows what they're talking about. Whereas it
Right.
used to just, get in the phone book or hop on Google and then just hope you got a good one.
And I think that's how we connected on social media, started following each
Yeah,
other that way and everything. So you attract your tribe, you hear
for
people
sure.
say that all the time. So, that's definitely kind of why, started following you with the reels and information and everything with that. Because you do see that genuine side of the person as well. So
Oh yeah.
100%. So switching gears a little bit with that is kind of in your career so far, what is one of the biggest failures that you've had in your career? You just have to just one, not too many now.
Not too many. Okay.
Not too many. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I only have two. No. So I love to negotiate. It's my favorite thing. Not my favorite thing, but like on the back end that nobody sees, it's my favorite part of real estate. I really like it. And I like winning. And so when I got into real estate, my mindset was to destroy the other realtor on the other side. I was going to win everything. They were going to be, "Oh, I don't know what to say to that." And that was going to make me feel good. Right. Um, and I learned very quickly that you can have 12,000 realtors in your market, but maybe 2,000 of you do all of the business.
Right.
Um, and I took a lesson from a very large agent in our market who I won, right? I won the negotiations and stuff like that. She called me afterwards and said, "Hey, it was very nice working with you. I just want to let you know it didn't have to be like that." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "We didn't have to go at each other like that. We didn't have to be so stern and like strict. Like you can negotiate and you can still do it and have positive relationships with people." And I was like, "Who's she? She doesn't know what she's talking." Oh my God. And she was a huge agent in my market at the
Right.
time. And we talk constantly now. She's with my brokerage and everything. And so work together. But that was a big change for me because you want to work together. And yes, you represent the client, but you don't have to destroy the other side every time. And that's kind of, I spent my first year, I would say, probably doing that.
So a little bit of a competitive edge there. And I would only assume that you played sports growing up as well.
No. Yeah, if I
No?
stood up right now,
Okay.
you would go, that guy doesn't play sports. Yeah, that's no. I'm not athletic in any way, shape, or form. It's not my thing. But competitive, yes.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. So, and that's something that, newer agents or even seasoned agents, yes, you're there to protect and provide advice for your client, but at the end of the day, we're all working towards getting to the closing table. So it's just trying to find a more professional way, less cutthroat way, I guess, in your case of
100%.
being able to negotiate that.
It was a little bit of like maturing, right? Because
Right.
I was like, oh yeah, I'm representing my clients the best. I'm like trying to like be a lawyer or something and like absolutely destroy the other side. Like that's not a thing. And no one taught me that. I just thought that's how that was. So,
Right. And it goes back to the kind of the reputation that realtors have and kind of plays along those lines. So with your negotiation, being a father, how does that work out on that side of things? Does it work
as far
out?
as negotiating?
Yeah. Are you able to negotiate with your?
No. I
No?
mean, yes and no. So my son is a very smart little kid. Annoyingly so. Love him to death, but annoyingly so. So when I talk about like negotiation, I don't know if it's genetic or not, but at one point I was like, hey buddy, you've watched too much TV today. You've played too many video games today. You need to go back and like, do some puzzles or something in your room. And he did this with his hands. And I was like, I don't like what's happening right now. And he goes, Dad, would you say that video games are not puzzles in a way? And I was like, don't do this right now. Go to your room. I don't know what's happening, but it was a full like pitch negotiation tactic. So, I haven't met my match or anything like that, but yeah, he's going to be trouble as he gets older.
That's hilarious. So he's definitely been watching in the jeans, watching you picking up.
Very funny. If I take him on showings
there.
or something like that, you've got the whole work-life balance, but sometimes, I got to take him with me. He'll walk into a house and he'll go, this is nice. Like, it can be ugly, but that's what he says. It's really funny.
Now, do you mind sharing how old he is? And you just have the one son?
He's 6. Yep.
6.
Only child.
Okay.
Yep.
And you never know what they're going to say. So for them to say it's a beautiful house, you're like, thank goodness something else didn't come out. I have a 6-year-old myself, so I understand 100% there.
Oh yeah.
So you mentioned going on showings with you and doing that work-life balance. How do you personally balance that?
I think I don't know about people's individual journeys or whatnot, but before I got into real estate, my work-life balance was horrible. So I was in commission sales. I had to work retail hours, holidays, all of that stuff. There was no like, oh, I can jet over and see something at his school or something like that. And it killed me, especially when I was like sitting in a commission job and all of a sudden I didn't have a client for 4 hours and I was just sitting there waiting. I was like, I could be hanging out with my son, who was a lot younger at the time. So I got into real estate and I went crazy when I first got into it, but I made sure that I didn't miss a single thing that he was going to have. And they don't have a ton of stuff when they're that young. But I made sure that getting really good at my schedule, if he was going to have, like, we put him in jiu-jitsu when he was little. And I was like, okay, that block right there is set. It's done. I will be at that appointment. Now being late or something like that, it happens. But the real estate can be really, really hard, especially in the beginning. Now I have a lot more flexibility, but when I first started, it was like, 60-hour weeks. And then I need to squeeze in exactly where he's going to be. And then one thing that I did do is when I would get home and he was home, I would kind of try to shut it off the best I could. And since you still need to get those hours in, I would wait till he went to bed, and then I would go straight back into it till like midnight.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us are in that boat too. And like you said, being a newer agent, it is hard to say I need to put him on the schedule. But
Yep.
I think we both looked at it kind of the same way after hearing you say that, is if there was an event going on, that was a non-negotiable on my calendar.
Yep.
Because prior to this, I was, wasn't the flexibility wasn't there. And you're able to make up those hours after they go to sleep, if they sleep.
Exactly.
Has that gotten easier as he's gotten older, or is there more stuff to have to fit in the calendar?
It has gotten easier. I don't know necessarily because he's gotten older, or because my business has gotten better. It's gotten more streamlined. So, having an assistant, having referrals coming in, not having to just absolutely chase as hard as I possibly can for every single deal and stuff like that. I think that having a little bit more flexibility, I think I work more or less hours now than I did as well. So I have a lot of flexibility. So it's gotten better. He also doesn't like doing things that often. So like, it's not like he's in football and he's also in jujitsu and all this stuff. He's like, I'd like a quiet night at home.
That's all right. And you're like, okay.
I'm like, yeah, do that. That's fine.
Me
You
too.
don't want to do anything? Okay. All right. But I'm sure like once he gets older and stuff like that, and he's in sports or anything like that, then I'll just had to, again, allot that time and make sure that it's non-negotiable.
Right. And I think it's a beauty and a curse in this profession, is being able to take that time and be there for family and events and everything. What, with that work-life balance there, you're going 100 miles an hour, then you turn that switch, father mode, back into work mode. How do you make time for yourself? Do you make time for yourself?
Who does that? Now, I did not do that for a really long time. I actually had, we'll get into like real stories, right?
Yeah.
So I was probably like 2 years into the business. I was about to turn 30, and out of nowhere, my body just like shut down on me. And so I was in the hospital for 3.5 weeks. Had all this stuff, had other agents working all my deals for me and stuff like that, because, there's no cell reception in the hospital, and I had other things going on.
Right.
And that kind of put things into perspective a little bit, where like, I was like, I need to take care of myself and my mental and my physical. Cause I was just stick skinny, eating unhealthy. And I'd always been that way. Just a skinny dude is what it is. And so I started going to therapy, figure my stuff out, and then started eating better, started exercising, things like that. So taking care of yourself is very important so that you can take care of others.
Absolutely. And just as a whole, that I feel like a lot of men in general are pressured with that, is we put everything and everybody ahead of ourselves.
Oh yeah.
But you hit the nail on the head. If you're not healthy and where you need to be, you can't help or do anything for anybody else. And I think that just gets overlooked so many times and so easily.
I was really good at shoving stress down as far as it would go. And then you think that you're doing a good thing because you're like, all right, I'm not going to let this bleed out into my family. I'm just going to eat this, and this is my problem. But then it really does. Like, you snap for no reason, or you get agitated, or you kind of step back from people. And so once you start to like really work through your own stuff, you realize that you can be so much better as a parent and a partner, and even in business. Like, you can understand more.
Right. Absolutely. So this kind of ties in as, I would go to say that's kind of a stereotype for men and dads and everything, is holding all that in. Is there any other kind of stereotype or kind of stigma with being a father, being a male, that really you struggle with?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't believe in a lot of like I know the stereotypes exist, right? Like,
right.
Father's the head of the household or whatever. I was like, good luck telling my wife that. It, no, actually, mine's a funny one. The only thing that I stereotype that exists that I just don't get is having to teach my son sports.
Okay.
I don't know sports. I don't know how to do them. I am not good at them. So, like, how am I supposed to teach that? They're like, you've never taught your kid to throw a ball? I was like, kind of, like a little bit. But
They have coaches for that, right?
I was like, yeah, they have. I signed him up for baseball. He could do that. Like, this is not because I don't have the time. I don't want to embarrass myself.
Right.
So,
Right.
but no, I get where people are coming from. Like, husbands have got to be like the breadwinners. And then especially if somebody is going to be on full commission and then times get tight and things get a little hard. So like partners have to be really good at communicating, especially when someone's full commission like that. Like, hey, stuff might get hard. Don't get upset at me. We're going to work through it together, not the husband leads everything.
Right. And, it goes back to business communication in this business with everybody.
Yep.
Throughout every aspect of life is key and huge for anything to work out there. So,
exactly.
What so far has been the biggest struggle for you in fatherhood itself? Or has it been a piece of cake for you?
No, it is not. Now, I will say I am incredibly lucky. My son is so easygoing and self-aware. He is on the spectrum, just slightly. So he is quirky and hilarious. My hardest thing is like understanding, knowing what he's going through, and then knowing how to help. So it's not the typical like, well, I'm having trouble with my schoolwork or something like that. It's like, no, I got stuck staring at a wall for an hour. I'm like, how do we not do that again? Like, I don't know how to help with stuff like that. So, and I feel like every parent probably has that. They're like, oh, okay, now I'm going to remember how this happened to me when I was a kid and not do that. And then all of a sudden you end up with something totally different. So, yeah, just understanding. And so patience is a big part of it.
Right. Right. What, as far as people you look up to, a mentor, anything, how has that kind of impacted your life, and who would you say is the most influential person, either in life in general or a certain aspect of your life, whether it be work or parenthood?
I wouldn't say it was just one person, but there's been quite a few people in like my career and different jobs and stuff like that I've seen do the total wrong thing or do the total right thing. And I would pick it up and go, that was not it. We will not be doing that later in life. Or like you see somebody, my previous business partner, his name is Christopher Wood. He's about to have his fourth kid on the way, ultra successful new build rep. Okay. And like number one in Texas or something like that. Or at least he says, who knows? And then, he just left it all because he was like, oh, I don't have any work-life balance and I love my kids. So he just walked off and he went and got his real estate license, which to me boggles my mind because I know how much money he was making. And I'm like, and you just walked away from that? Like, how did you do that? And then he went and replaced it almost immediately.
Right.
Because he just has that grind mentality. But like he is a family man first and then a realtor second. And so we started working together and I was like, well, I'll probably never get to his level. And then that competitiveness came out in me and I'm watching him. I'm like, you're not doing anything special. Like, you're not doing anything like too crazy that I couldn't do. I could do all of that. I know I could. And he was like, sure you could. And then we got like this healthy rivalry back and forth, but like I learned a lot from him and he learned a lot from me. And then now we're neck and neck. So
awesome.
As far as elevating my business and elevating me as a realtor, Chris has a huge hand in that. Awesome. And then as far as like work ethic, just in general, it would probably be my dad. And that didn't kick in until I was like 25. Because I was like, I'm not doing anything. He worked way too hard in life, blah, 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 blah. And then 25 happened and my brain went, now we work hard. So I don't really know how to help you with that, but it just clicked one day.
Awesome. Awesome. Now, do you have time to read? Do you listen to podcasts? Is there one or two that really stick out in your mind that's kind of helped you or provided you with some knowledge that you would mind sharing?
So I only do audiobooks.
Okay.
I am ADD. If I try to read a physical book, it would take me forever. I'll get through 17 pages and then realize I don't remember what I read. So I'm amazed that I can do contracts as well as I can. But I do audiobooks quite often. A lot of them about running a business while having ADD. I watched one that was, or listened to, what's it called? Driven to Distraction.
Okay.
It was one I listened to recently that really helped me out. It was kind of about building a business while having ADD and being a little bit neurodiverse and working a little bit different than other people. Podcasts, I listen to Lewis Howes all the time. I don't know if you know him, but he just has successful people on quite often. And they're talking about everything from relationships to money to work ethic to all that stuff. And so my morning routine is that I, not every day, but I go to the gym, I finish my gym workout, I go to the sauna, and I sit for 10 minutes and I listen to Lewis Howes's new daily motivation, I think is what it's called on Spotify. Okay. And so I'm getting a new nugget from something completely different every single time I go. And then in the car would just be audiobooks, whatever I'm listening to at the time, whether it be Gary Vee or Grant Cardone or Brian Serhant. So
awesome. So your time for you as well is hitting the gym and having that quiet time in the morning as well to prepare you for the day and everything.
It's pretty recent, actually.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. If you had met me 2 years ago and you'd have been like, so do you go to the gym every day? I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not an Evan thing that happens. And that kind of goes back to like eventually working on yourself. I never realized that like that would help me so much. Because it just fuels your day. Now, I'm not the wake up at 5 a.m. person. That's just not my thing. So like I go at 8. And that still feels early. So, but it does help. It kicks everything off. You feel better about yourself, increases dopamine, all that stuff. So then honestly, you can work more when you do stuff like that. But yeah, it's a good routine to start. I hired a trainer to help me start it because I knew myself. I was like, I'm going to do that and then I'm never going to go back. And so I paid upfront for 3 months of personal training sessions 3 times a week so that I could develop that habit. And I knew myself really well because it did work.
And I think that's key is making sure you commit to it, forming those habits where it's that muscle memory, where that's just a part of your routine. You don't even think twice about it.
Exactly. Some people have that thing where they won't negotiate with themselves. They're like, I'm going to set out to do it and it's done. Right? Like you listen to like a Kobe Bryant clip and he's like, I don't negotiate with myself. Every time I wake up am willing to negotiate with myself. So and so I have to put other things in place to make sure that I'm required to be there.
Absolutely. I think that's huge for a lot of people. A lot of people kind of have those issues in their day-to-day routines there. Now, we've kind of hit a bunch of topics talking about how you've grown, kind of looking at struggles and how you kind of balance work life and everything. Is there anything that you feel like either real estate related or as far as being a parent that would just be one huge nugget takeaway that we haven't already covered or?
Not necessarily. I'm sure that I will think of something the second we hang up. But no, I will say this. You can't get into real estate just because you think you're going to make a bunch of money. That just doesn't work for people unless like you're just like that, you've got just a slight screw loose and you're like grind till I die. Like you're like that type of person. Those people exist, good for them. But like the thing that keeps me in real estate is that I really enjoy helping people. Like I care about people almost too much. And So the thing that keeps me excited about real estate, because you get peaks and valleys in business, and the things that keeps you going is helping those people, and actually making a difference in someone's life. And without that, this business would get very dry very quickly. So,
right, dry and lonely, and all of the above there. Absolutely. So I appreciate you taking the time today, bearing with me through the technical difficulties before this podcast. Where can listeners find you online to follow you and reach out to you?
Everywhere on social media, mainly Instagram and Facebook. I have a TikTok. I should totally post there more, but I don't. But everything is just at Evan Rayborn Homes, and that's Rayborn. So Evan Rayborn Homes. I have YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and my website is evanraybornhomes.com. So.
Perfect. Well, so hopefully our listeners can find you, and if you need anybody out in San Antonio, they know where to look for you and everything. So yeah. I appreciate you taking the time to be on here today, and get out there and keep crushing it, man.
I appreciate you asking me on.
Absolutely, man. You have a great one. Thank you.
You too.